you realize that perhaps the work that you're doing might take a little bit more time because of that ADHD as opposed to someone who have that specialty and can be focused at one thing at a time, can excel in that one thing and propel them for success.
Yes. So I guess I just have to figure out, and I've been working to figure out how to overcome that and, avoid things that I know I'm really, really going to struggle with, along with also trying to get better and manage my weaknesses and, grow into them. So I guess ultimately I learned a lot of hard lessons, but then fast forward a little while, I took the money that I made from that flip and I rolled it into a house hack, which was awesome. It's like a mile from where I've lived my entire life. It was an okay deal, but I screwed up because I learned my lesson, but I
Hmm.
didn't change my actions. And I bought a house that needed a lot of work. And ultimately, that work has taken me about a year and a half longer than I thought it was going to take.
Wow.
I bought this house with intentions of turning it into a unofficial duplex. And this was 2 years ago. And I am just now at the age of 22 wrapping up this project that I thought was going to be done a year and a half ago. So learned a lesson, but I guess I didn't learn it hard enough. So I've had a rough couple years.
Yeah. Well, it's good though that you're taking this risk early on and learning all the lessons, even though maybe in the first deal you didn't really learn much and transition into the second deal. But that's okay, right? It's okay to take that risk, and it might take you two or three deals to finally realize what your mistakes are and finally realize that okay, I need to stop doing this because it's going to lead me to that just based on the historical facts. I mean, in my own personal story, when I did my first fix and flip, it was similar case with yours. I just didn't have, I didn't really have the construction background, nor kind of my parents didn't want to be involved in real estate. I had to went to a meetup and then network with a lot of people, and that's how I first found my private lender, who is still a friend to me today. But during that entire process, I realized what my strengths and weaknesses are, and that is like I like analyzing deals, but I don't like doing much of the construction process. And I remember that I thought the deal was going to cost me 40,000 in rehab costs, and that 40,000 come from a general contractor who I thought that was trustworthy, and ended up costing way more than that. And the same general contractor left the site, left the whole job site. It's too small for him apparently. So I learned my lessons there, right? Just, you want to trust but verify. You don't want to have just anybody, you want to confirm that the numbers are correct, not just because he have this title of a construction person that everything is correct and that's the number you should go for.
It,
Another
it's
one would be,
funny. It's funny how you bring that up. I think you and I are very similar in
yeah.
terms of like I'm good at math. I like numbers. Analyzing deals and spreadsheets is cool to me. But I had the same thing happen with a general contractor. I hired him to add a bathroom to my basement, and fortunately, he did 70% of the work. But then he
Okay.
took my money and walked out, and I had to take him to small claims court. So that's
Yeah.
another whole thing that we could get into later. But you do have to be very careful when vetting contractors because they know that they're in high demand and some of them will take advantage of you if they can.
Yeah, 100%. And it all comes from our age, right? When I first started in real estate, I was 18 years old. I don't know when you got your first deal, but we were both young. That's an obvious fact. And these construction guys usually are older guys with more experience and much more technical knowledge than we do. We're looking at it from just a financial standpoint. How much does it cost? Can I repair it? Can I sell it at a certain price? Can I make my profit margin? We don't look at, what's the building codes for this and what's the proper right way to do certain this, right? We only can see that from either Home Depot videos or like a book that we read on house flipping. And that's the facts that we looked at. They looked at as a hands-on experience, what they have done in the past. And they could use that as an advantage because us young folks might not have the experience and knowledge to do that. But you compromise that by finding out other bits, right? You're reaching out to other construction people that you may know in your network or from like a local real estate group that you ask, hey, how much does this thing cost? How long does it take? And then see if you could push that to the contractors and hopefully that they do it right. But you want to also verify that everything is correct, not there's no cracks on the walls, there's no leakage, there's no water coming in, things like that. It's pretty obvious, but we tend to forget some things like that because we're so chased into how much money that we can make or how much of the expenses that we can squeeze in.
Yeah, I think it was probably in a Bigger Pockets podcast. I heard like when you're dealing with contractors, you've got three things to choose from. You've got quality, price, and timeline, and you can't have all three. You've got to pick two of them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, just have to figure out where what you're willing to forego. And at least for me, I wanted to get this project done quick. So I chose price and time, and I think quality was sacrificed there, unfortunately. But in some cases, it's not the end of the world, you know.